This is Cliff. He is the founder
Yeah.
of APRO, which stands for
American Primate Research Organization.
Okay. And today we want to just be talking about what got him interested in the research department, why he started APRO, and stuff that he might want to add about the group. So let's start with the first question. Why Bigfoot? Why?
That's a good question, isn't
Why,
it?
Do research on Bigfoot? Why not, ghosts? Why not UFOs? Why not fairies? Why you pick Bigfoot?
I hope you're ready for the answer. It's in depth.
Okay.
2 years ago, I saw one, and to make that story short, that's what started me wanting to see them more and again, and also to find out more about them. They're more than just an animal, and I noticed that the whole week that we had our experience with them. So, and knowing that, and knowing the scripture that I know, the Bible background that I have, being a pastor for 25 years and studying scripture for more than almost 40 years now, I see a lot of scripture that points towards these creatures. Well, I say a lot. It's a few passages that point toward these creatures, and then a lot of history that point toward these creatures as being a vital part in man's own creation. So that's why I'm interested in these Bigfoot. And I hate the name Bigfoot, to be honest with you. I like to call them an American primate.
Right.
They're the same as we are, as an American primate. But we've tagged them as Bigfoot, and it's been the pet name for them for many, many years, since 1967 in the Patterson film, especially. And
like the reason people would say that they call them ghosts instead of spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Technically they are spirits, but they tag them as
a ghost. Yeah, exactly. Exact same thing. So. And we do that a lot, like we call God, but that name, it's a pagan name in itself, and it's not his real name. It's just generic. But Bigfoot, Zacharias Sitchin has a portion in his book that he explains how that he believes aliens came to this world and they were mining gold from this world to put a gold shield around their world to protect it because it was losing atmosphere. And these are all taken from the Sumerian text. And in that book on page 64, he talks about how that the aliens combine their DNA with the DNA of an indigenous creature called the ape woman, that they tagged the ape woman, and I think that we may be a result of that combining of DNAs. And of course that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but I'm looking for the answers to some questions created in the Bible and by evolution itself, because people say we came from a monkey. And if we did come from Bigfoot, then yes, we did come from a monkey, but part monkey and part something else, it looks like.
That would kind of explain why there's people out there that are extremely hairier than most people are.
Yeah, it does. You get some guys, and they look like a Bigfoot without being tagged as one. They look like they're wearing a carpet.
Right.
So yeah, it does.
Okay. How long ago did you say how long ago it was when you seen Bigfoot?
It was exactly October of 2006, and we were in a Feast of Tabernacles celebration. It's an 8-day celebration, and we rented a primitive campsite local here in Coleman County, and it was at this campsite that we had visitors. My wife was the first one to see him, and she saw at 4:30 in the morning. Women are funny because they have that sixth sense. and she felt like something was watching her, so she got up and we didn't put those coverings to keep the rain out. We left that off, and so the screen was there, and whoever was out there could see through. So she felt like somebody was watching her sleep. And when she got up, she saw a person about 20 feet from her. She said was 6 foot tall or more, and we only had one individual in our camp that was 6 foot tall, and that was John. And so she thought it was him just getting up and using the restroom, going over to the bathhouse. But this individual, went around behind the tent that John slept in. And so she thought, well, he's just going to use the grass, And so a few minutes went by, and she went by the tent, called his name out, and said, hey, John, because it was too long. He hadn't come back yet. And John answered from inside the tent. So John wasn't the individual that she saw, and so she's thinking she saw a ghost because people had died in this particular area, drowning and such. So she thought she saw a ghost and told us about it later in the day, and I told her she saw a shadow person. They talk about them on Coast to Coast, But she mentioned that the thing had a coat on it, had fur on its collar, and I thought that was interesting because it wasn't that terribly cold, even though a heavy winter coat wouldn't have been called for, a light jacket would have. But so the fur was interesting, and then Sunday the boys found footprints down by the creek, and we went down and looked at them, and there were just hundreds of them everywhere. I mean, these people, if you want to call them that, were walking everywhere in the creek area. They had cockleburs everywhere. If you look on my website, you'll see footprints, and those green looks like grass around it. Those are cocklebur plants, and even green, they hurt your foot when you walk on. But there were just acres and acres and acres of these cockleburs, and then we had 5 different sizes of feet that we found. We had a 15.5-inch foot, 9.5-inch foot, 7.5-inch foot, and then there was a smaller one, and I don't remember how small. It was about 4 or 5 inches, and some of those we cast, and we have them here. We might be able to show those here in a little bit too,
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, and so that's what started. It was that weekend. They were in and out of our camp 3 times that week. We heard them. We heard them wood knocking. We heard them whooping, whistling. They had some awful screams that they screamed at my son and his friends one night. And they were throwing stones and sticks at us. They'd come into the campsite, and when they were there, they'd steal stuff from us and then leave a black feather. So,
why would they leave a black feather?
I don't know. I had done some talking to folks after that, and they said some of them like trading. They don't want to take and not give something. But we don't know those individuals, so we don't know the reason for giving it, but that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that they made whooping sounds, cries, and stuff like that. Can you demonstrate one of the whoopings or cries or something?
Well, the whoop, I can do that, and I'm not sure about the yells, but the whoop is just a whoop, and it can be longer or shorter.
Right.
I think it has a meaning of communication behind it. A warning or an alert maybe, and or to get our attention.
Right.
Because they are very curious about humans. They don't like to be around us, but they are curious about us. In a camping situation, they'll sit on the edge of the camp and watch.
For the people that are going to be watching this, one question they might have in mind is, wouldn't you think that would be a bird making that noise? Why do you think it's the primate and not some type of bird?
Because of the volume.
Volume?
Yeah, the volume of it, the decimals of it, as far as how loud it gets, and the amount of air that needs to be expelled to make that loud of a sound. There's no bird that could do it the way we've heard it.
Because, in my opinion, or what I've read, there's some whooping cranes or some kind of bird that can make
some whooping sound. Now they might make pretty good sound, pretty good loud.
But not that volume type.